people don't take them unless they have to take them. And so when we're making, while the community and in the prosecutor's office and sheriff department is really making a strong push for parental accountability, what we want to ensure is that when there are parents who may have done something, had a role in their kid's crime, maybe not rise to the level of a serious felony, but they could really serve to benefit from some parental courses, some parenting support, that those options are open for them. Currently, there's things on the books like pretrial intervention. So I'm really excited and happy that the sheriff department, along with the solicitor's office, has supported this idea. We look forward to working together so we can develop a program for parents who should have this implemented when they're involved in a crime. And as the community at large continues to want to see parental accountability, it's really important that we remember the support and a rehabilitative aspect of it. My grandmother, for example, worked 2 and 3 jobs when my dad lived in Jersey City, New Jersey, growing up in public housing. And a lot of my uncles and aunts died of drug overdoses. They were in and out of jail. My grandmother tried to do the best that she could do. She probably could have benefited from some of these programs if she was actually charged with a crime associated with her role and her children being involved in things. So we're in the beginning program or process of this. We look forward to having some solid programs come out of it, and I'll let Sheriff Lott talk from here. Thank you.
This program is designed to help parents be parents, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself and also Chief Holbrook, who's not able to be here right now. So we've already talked about this. He's fully on board with this program too. Unfortunately, we have adults who have children, and they're not being a parent. And like Tyler said, the community's sick of it. I think everybody's sick of it. I know the solicitor's sick. He's sick of it. I'm sick. The community's sick of these adults not being a parent. And so when the program that we started is holding them accountable. And I think everybody needs to be held accountable for their actions or their non-actions. And what this program is designed is to help them. You know, my goal when we started this was not to have people go to prison. It was just impressed upon them, you have to be a parent. You have to have some control over your children. You have to know who they are, who they're with, where they're going. You need to know that. That's what a parent does. And unfortunately, we have these adults who say they're parents, but they're not being a real parent. Under this program, those who are charged by us or the City of Columbia, that doesn't rise to a felony level like where they're assisted to child in a murder, will have an opportunity to go to these programs that already exist that will give them the help. Parent support groups, just whatever they need, there's programs there, but force them to go do it. Unfortunately, they won't go do it on their own. Through being arrested and then through the solicitor's office and this program here and the court systems, hopefully we'll be able to make them go do what they need to be doing as a parent, but give them the help. Now, that's the goal, is to get them to be parents where they have control over their children who are not going to go out here and commit violent crimes. The community is sick of it, and it's time we do something, and this is a program, I think, along with law enforcement, the community, the solicitor's office working together, that we are going to have an impact on the amount of crime that we have with juveniles.
Thank you, Sheriff, and thank you, Tyler. I think it's important to understand that we're standing here today in solidarity. We're not in silos somewhere. We communicate. And so with law enforcement, with City Council, with the Solicitor's Office, and with other community members, we're here because, as Sheriff said, we've got to do something different. If you've been around me, you've heard me say many times, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. And we're at a point now where we've got to do something a little bit differently. Laws have been on the books for years, for decades, but as we are looking to hold parents more accountable for things that they are aware of that their children are doing, it's one thing to hold them accountable, but it's another thing as well to provide some type of structure, some type of programming that can help them bridge those gaps so that they can be better parents. Many of you know the Bible says, train up a child in the way he or she should go, so that when they're old, they won't depart from it. But it's hard to train if you've never been trained. And so there are parents who may not have had the best role models as parents. And so if you're in situations where, again, we're talking about nonviolent matters, where a parent is charged with something, then through this program, and it's in its infancy stages, but through this programming, parenting classes, anger management classes, just things that can assist people with being better, the best version of themselves will be out there. And if they can be those best versions, then they can pass those things along to their children. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for stronger communities. It's not always about punish. I mean, we have to hold people accountable, and honestly, that in this courthouse, that's what we do. But we also are looking to say there's some grace and mercy in this process, and if there are situations where we can help you be better, let's do that, so that you don't get to a point where you're in this courtroom looking at a jury waiting on a verdict to come back because of something heinous that took place. And so again, I'm thankful to my partners because, you know, these folks work hard here, and we all have a vested interest in what's going to be best for Richland County, for the city of Columbia, and we're all in. And so anything that we can do to make this better is what we're going to do. That's a promise we made to you when we put our hand on the Bible and took our oaths, and we're going to continue to do that every day. So thank you for this opportunity, and we look forward to seeing what this program can bring, because we know it will do some good.
And we'll take some brief questions if we can give you answers.
With some of the programs that already exist, who are some of the partners that help bring all of those resources to these parents? You know, teachers or just counselors? Who exactly is involved with this?
I'll let Sheriff talk about that.
I can just start with the Sheriff's Department. Our Youth Services Division, we have a lot of young people who go through our diversionary programs. We have a lot of them go through the programs before they ever get in trouble. But we include the parents. And we have parent support groups through the Sheriff's Department. So we're one resource right here is the Richland County Sheriff's Department. City of Columbia has some of the same programs that we got also. So they exist. We just need to get the people who need them the most into these programs.
You just mentioned a bunch of resources that are here in the communities for those parents and those at-risk youth. So what makes this program different from those other programs?
Well, on the other programs, the parents come because they want to be there. This program is going to require them to be there because they've got a charge on them. That's the hammer over their head. If you don't go through these programs after you've been given that opportunity, then I'm quite sure the solicitor's office is going to prosecute you to the full extent of the law. And then when you stand in front of a judge, the judge is going to be told, you know, this person was given these opportunities to do these programs. They refused to do it. So that will be taken into consideration when he passes sentence, or the judge does. So that's the big difference. One is voluntary. This is probably going to be non-voluntary.
Or voluntold, as sometimes we like to say. And it's one where as these referrals are made, they'll come to our office for prosecution, and as they come to our office for prosecution, then these programs that the sheriff talked about that are existence, you know, the youthful arbitration program is there as well. And so these are things that are available, but you know, we're kind of putting them all under one umbrella, and making sure that these things are available to all folks. And as we assess the cases and determine which programs we feel are going to be best, we'll make those assessments, make those referrals, and monitor people as they're in these programs to make sure that they complete them properly.
Let me add this too, though. Since we started making these arrests, the calls to our Youth Services Division in the Sheriff's Department has quadrupled. People are paying attention. They understand now I may need to know what my child is doing. I need help, and they're asking for help. And that was one of the motivations for doing it. So we've seen that come about. So we've already seen something positive coming out as us locking the ones up that we already have.
And to add to that, for example, people understand that they shouldn't drink and drive, right? They may know they may be struggling with alcohol abuse, but when they get a DUI, they have to roll an ADSAP, which is a course. They have to install an ignition interlock device on their car. And so similarly, these programs will be mandated, voluntold. If you want to benefit from this program and possibly be diverted away from a stiffer penalty, you could participate. And most people do participate when they have a benefit for themselves at the end of the tunnel. If not, there's really no teeth to really hold them to do that. And like Sheriff mentioned, this program and the idea for this program came out of the parental accountability push that his office did. And I think this is a prime example of what comes out of everybody doing their job. The police department Sheriff's Department making arrests, holding people accountable, elected public officials thinking about how they can close the gap, the Solicitor's Office getting on board and implementing their programs where they can. This is showing 3 levels of government working together.
Councilman, you mentioned that the program is in its infancy stages. When are you expecting to launch it, or when is it expected to be launched?
Well, we're working on it immediately now. So we've had these discussions even before the referral was made. Hopefully, sometime in the next coming months, something will be installed, but it is in the infancy stages. I don't see any roadblocks right now, but we'll see what happens.
But some of the things that parents need, where do you see the most need? I mean, you mentioned things about controlling anger and dealing with emotions and things like that. But are you seeing some similarities between some of these parents that they're lacking, that they probably need an emphasis on?
I'd say just in my years prior to becoming solicitor, I used to handle a lot of abuse and neglect cases, and that's where situations where a parent may have fallen short and the child was either abused or neglected in some way, shape, or form. Those matters find their ways into family court. And when that happens, a judge will preside, and there's a programming regimen that's available for parents so that they can get on track, they can learn whatever deficiencies they have and get better at parenting. And so that's something, just parenting period, is something that that people need to be better at. Some of it is just want to. I mean, you got to want to know what your kids are doing, where they are, and what they're doing, when they're doing it, why they're there, who their friends are. That's something that you got to want to do. And this is not an indictment on parents. It's something that it's just a requirement. You know, I could get old school for a minute and talk about phones and all that other kind of stuff that may not have been around when we were younger, but the bottom line is parenting is a lot different than it used to be. But it is an active, there's an active piece there, and you got to be an active parent. And some of these courses can talk about that. We have referrals that take place, through DSS, through Insights, which is a counseling center here, and others as well. And so it's our aim to open the doors there so that we can determine which programs could be best and best suited for parents and get them going in those right directions. And they'd have the opportunity to either say, yes, we're going to follow through and do the things that are required, or not. And whichever path they choose is going to be their decision. But the path of if they choose not to do it, then there's an accountability on the other side, which may mean finding themselves in this courtroom.
And I know it's still in its beginning stages, but any idea how long these classes will be required, or how many hours that you may have to put in, if you figure that out?
I would say that's going to be on a case-by-case basis. So I'm not a clinician, so we would leave that decision to be made to the clinicians once we, again, get past the infancy stages and whatever the curriculum needs to be. At that point, we'd allow the clinicians to make that decision.
Have you come up with a name for the program yet?
Working on that. But
Well,
I think Mr. Bailey may have something in mind. He's got some ideas.
I think it should mimic what's already been put out there. We're looking at parental accountability and parental support, and it needs to intertwine both those things. Some parents, there needs to be just strict justice and accountability, right? Some parents, there may need more support and rehabilitative services. So the clinicians will figure out what mix is needed, but I think the community has spoken. They want parental accountability. They also know that parents these days a lot of times need help being parents. You have kids who are raising kids. You have fathers a lot of times who are absent from the home with that presence with kids. And all that's what we're seeing as a community, and we're trying to step up and close that gap.
So look, just to be clear, so this isn't some sort of specialty course that's being created, but rather just merely a program, is that right?
Correct. Specialty courts require more from the Supreme Court and otherwise. So this is a program. We have some programmatic control over how we handle these matters. And as we've met with our community stakeholders, law enforcement and otherwise, we see a pathway to helping parents be better and more accountable.
Would parents be in jail while they are doing this program, or is this an alternative to the sentences that we're seeing?
Well, at this point in time, I mean, jail is something that would happen on the back end. I mean, the question would be whether or not, if they're charged with a crime, what bond they received, and if they received a bond, then they would not be in jail. So we'd be working with the charge. We'd be working with just seeing what the best alternative is. So that would be left up to a judge when that charge takes place, whether or not the person is given a bond and if they'd be out on a bond.
The father's kind of in and out of the life, would he also be held responsible?
If a person is charged, they'd have to be charged. And so we would only have jurisdiction over a person if they're indeed charged with the criminal matter. And so that's the part we can control. I think DSS is more of the agency in an abuse and neglect type setting, which is outside of my purview in this role. When a father or paramour or whomever else would be a part of a court order to be required to do something.
When they stop being a parent, become a participant, is when we arrest them. That's the guiding line for us. Not being a parent, but being a participant in the crime. That's what we're looking at. But I will tell you, in all the cases we've had so far, there's not been a father figure involved in it. That is something that needs to be addressed too. There's not a father figure, a male figure that's been involved with the kids that we've been involved with so far. So that's something that's not talked about a whole lot, but that does impact it too. That's where the community can step up, and I think that's part of what this program will do, is there are male figures in this community, might not be their child that needs the help, but they can help another child by doing something. So that plays a part in it too. But the guiding line for us is when they stop being a parent and become a participant in the crime, we're going to lock them up.
If a parent hasn't been charged yet, but feels like they need this sort of help, would they be able to?
They can come. They're doing that now, and that's what we've seen. Yeah, you don't have to wait till your child gets locked up to come ask for help. We want them to come ask for help before that ever happens. We want to be proactive, not just reactive. This program is more of a reactive program. Let's be proactive. Your child is not listening and used to going down the wrong path. Don't wait till they get in trouble. Come to us. Our programs are already there for them to help from our weekend programs, our summer programs, all the stuff that we got. We'd rather be proactive than reactive.
At City Council yesterday, the mayor asked you to expand this program to also look into looking after children who have been in houses with domestic violence. What are your plans to do that?
Well, currently, the DSS already has a lot of those programs in place. The family court already does a lot on that front. So this program is really something different. There was some more discussion after that recommendation. But, we really want to look at what is in the best interest of the children regardless, but also mainly this program is for parental accountability and support. DSS, there's a lot of other programs out there for survivors of domestic violence that are already doing great work, and we would, of course, work with them, but this is something different and separate and apart.
Sheriff, if I can ask a question here, not to get too far off topic. We talked a couple of times about lack of fathers being in the picture. How is that conversation with single moms in these scenarios who are cooperating, as far as some of the hardships or challenges that they may or may not, be dealing with when you are, making these arrests or investigating these crimes?
The ones that I've talked to, they don't want a man for themselves. They want a man for their child. And that's where the community can step up. So yeah, these single moms want help, and they want help from a male figure and come in and help out, particularly with our young men. They need somebody that's a male in their life that can educate them and guide them. And there's a huge need for that. And there's a lot of men out in this community who can step up and provide that service.
Well, we appreciate the time. These are both very busy men that I'm standing beside. So thank you, and please keep up with the development of this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.